You see, a common misconception out there on the internet is that your dog might be a skinwalker. And hang on a minute, that's not what you look like. I'm Aiden Mattis, and welcome to the Lore Lodge. So we've talked about skinwalkers several times on this channel, and I'm going to preface this entire video by saying, me saying skinwalker is not going to summon one to your home. And if it is summoning them to my home, my building has much better security than I thought it did. Skinwalkers come from a variety of traditions. Most commonly, they are the Navajo version. And the Navajo believe that if you do a series of rituals that involve murder, cannibalism, eating a family member, wearing the pelts of predatory animals like wolves and coyotes, you can achieve magical powers that allow you to shapeshift into the form of animals. And in the creepypasta world, this has kind of changed into like, oh, if your dog is a skinwalker, it'll have 6 legs. That's not in the mythology here at all. And the term that's used by the Navajo specifically is that these are shamans or medicine men practicing specifically bad medicine. Now, bad medicine you could easily translate into European terms as dark magic. You know, these are both broad terms. And you've probably seen a lot of content about skinwalkers. You know, there's been a trend of, when I see the Amazon delivery man the skinwalker disguised as an Amazon delivery man walking towards my house with my 12 gauge in my hands and whatnot. There was a video of a dog opening a door on TikTok that went viral, and they were like, it's a skinwalker. Pro tip, it wasn't. There was, of course, the TV series Skinwalker Ranch, which is on Hulu, and I haven't watched it yet. Probably not going to. There was a movie called Hunt for the Skinwalker. Supernatural did an episode where they had a skinwalker, but the skinwalker was a dog, and that was kind of, I think, where that was the genesis of this whole your dog is a skinwalker thing back in like 2007. And it certainly didn't help, but, it is what it is. Now, here's the issue with the whole your dog is a skinwalker thing. I'm just going to get right to that one. If Archie here was a skinwalker, the problem is that somebody would have had to kill and skin Archie and then wear his coat. Look at him. Does this look like... See, skinwalkers are intelligent. They're people. They're shape-shifting witches. There are no thoughts behind these eyes. There's absolutely nothing going on in his head. Is he beautiful? Yes. Is he loving? Yes. Is he intelligent? No. Is he of slightly below average intelligence? No. Does he have a functioning nervous system? It would seem so. And that's really all he needs. So let's dig into the nitty-gritty of what skinwalkers are, because that's probably why you came here. You trust me. You believe that I am the Skinwalker Sergeant, the Wendigo Warden, Lore Father, the Milkman, all the many names I've been given over the course of having this show. But we're going to go into the process of how one becomes a skinwalker, because there's actually a defined process to this. It's not like a Wendigo where it's something that occurs out of desperation or out of malice or greed. It's something that occurs because you very deliberately walked yourself into it. And that is that you have to, first of all, this is knowledge that is passed down by elders. So there is a social structure here. They do have, councils, so to speak. Not what you're going to get like in Twilight, where there's like a werewolf council. That's not what you're looking at. But you would know your local skinwalker elders. So in order to become a skinwalker, there's a very simple process. You've got to kill a family member and eat them. After that, there are some rituals and ceremonies that I was not able to discover the details of because the Navajo don't really like to talk about it. So I went and I asked some Navajo and, Southwestern Native American people that I am connected with, and I basically showed them what I planned on talking about in this video and said, is this accurate? And they said, to my knowledge, and now here we are. So first step, kill and eat your family members. Step 2, ? Step 3, profit. But you then don the pelt of an animal that you want to imitate, such as a wolf, a coyote. It's usually one of those two animals, a dog perhaps, and then you proceed to transform into that animal and run around committing acts of debauchery and cannibalism. Now, the most common Skinwalker sighting seems to be the black dog on the side of the road and the knock on your back window when you're driving down the highway in New Mexico at 70 miles per hour at night alone, and nobody could possibly have knocked on your back window. So these are what people commonly report. There's also the idea that they can mimic human voices, whether that's through magic or through ventriloquism. It doesn't really matter. They are known to mimic human voices. They are known to patrol specific areas. For example, Skinwalker Ranch and the Yintah Basin. I probably pronounced that wrong, but at this point, I have given up. So, for example, the Skinwalker Ranch issue, that was a war between the Ute and the Navajo, and the Navajo were losing the war, so rather than continue to allow their people to be captured and sold into slavery, they cursed the entire land that they were fighting over. And that became known as the Path of the Skinwalker. And so that's why the Skinwalker Ranch and the entire basin surrounding it experience a lot of these strange paranormal occurrences, at least in Navajo tradition. If you're interested in more about the whole Skinwalker Ranch issue, we did a video on that back over the summer. Go check that out. It's just Skinwalker Ranch on our channel. Now, Skinwalkers first kind of skyrocketed back into popularity on 4chan and Reddit in the mid-2000s, late aughts. And they got mixed in with several other similar legends from different cultures. Some Appalachian, some Southwestern, some Northeastern, some Great Plains. But the point was, you had this series of traits: shape-shifting, vocal mimicry, superhuman speed and strength, this kind of gaunt appearance, things like that. And this translated, and this is actually one of the first things I talked about on this channel, into this mythos in North America of shape-shifting cannibalistic creatures, such as the Skinwalker, the Wendigo, the Dogman, the Goatman, the Palmyra Wolves. You can see how this kind of spreads all the way across the United States and parts of Canada. Now, the Goatman is specifically a legend in certain regions of the South, and then you've got Dogmen in Maryland and in Wisconsin and Michigan, and then the Skinwalkers in the American Southwest, and then the Wendigo in regions from the Pacific Northwest across that northern stretch of the United States and border with Canada, then down the Appalachians and up into New England. And you even had twists on the story. For example, the Rake is kind of a Skinwalker Wendigo-esque creature that seems to have been mixed with sleep paralysis demons that sits at the end of your bed and, chants your name to you and just kind of generally frightens you. And then on top of that, there's the Fleshgate. And the Fleshgate is a quasi-Skinwalker creature that will kill humans and then take on their form, insert himself into situations where it can mess with your mind and make you think that you know this person. Something's not quite right, kind of triggers your uncanny valley effect. And for those who don't know what the uncanny valley is, it is the phenomenon where as something approaches looking like a human, we become more and more comfortable with it. But there's a point at which it's just almost human that we become deeply uncomfortable with it very quickly. And that is where a lot of these legends come from. That's why we are generally afraid of things with sunken eyes and long faces and sharp teeth, things that have limbs in the wrong proportions, things that are almost human, they're almost right, or it seems like something mimicking a human, something has taken the form of a human that triggers that response, and it freaks us out, and it kind of puts us into fight or flight mode. And that is what people report feeling during encounters with Skinwalkers, as well as with Wendigos, the Rake, Fleshgates. And again, specifically the Rake and Fleshgates are creations of the internet, of paranormal message boards. They are not real folklore, so to speak, because they are so new and you can kind of trace where they began. Part of what makes folklore and what makes it something different from just standard fiction, whether or not you believe in it, is that you can't really trace where it came from. It's just, it arises naturally out of time immemorial. We just have these myths and these legends, and we don't know where they came from necessarily. We can make guesses, we can make educated guesses, we can look back and do research, but at its core, it's always something that's kind of a manifestation of an entire group rather than a single author. So at this point in the video, you might be asking, Aiden, if Skinwalkers are real, why have we never found a body? Well, it's because Skinwalkers are human beings. And there's essentially two things that would happen if you killed one. If you killed one while it was in human form, all you would have is a human corpse. And if you killed one while it was in animal form, you'd have an animal corpse. So you wouldn't know necessarily. Now, maybe if you kill one as an animal, maybe it transforms into a human before it dies. You would still have a human corpse. So do you see where the issue is here? And after that, you might be saying, wait, but if you can kill them, why haven't people done it? It's hard. It's really hard to kill a skinwalker. It requires white ash or cedar. These are the two things I've heard most commonly. In some cases, people say silver, but I don't really trust that one. The consistent one really is white ash, and we find burials involving white ash all over North America. It seems that this was kind of the Native American version of driving a stake through a dead body to make sure it didn't get back up, as they did in parts of the Balkans. But if you do find yourself in a situation where you're concerned about a skinwalker, there's a couple of precautions you can take. Carry something made out of cedar. For example, if you get a pocket knife and you can replace the blade or the handle with cedar, go for it. That might help you out. White ash, a bullet tipped in white ash, a knife dipped in white ash. Basically anything white ash related seems to be a weapon that breaks through whatever magical barrier keeps them from being vulnerable. Burning sage, I have read, can be helpful. And like I said, silver's kind of a maybe. And I would not rely on the idea of like the sign of the cross or something like that. Probably not going to do it for you. This is something that's corporeal, it's intelligent, it's human, and it's chasing after you. It's not going to be driven off by things that would drive off evil spirits, so to speak. And one question I see a lot is, can skinwalkers open doors? It seems like the answer to that is a yes, they can open doors and come inside, not like vampires, but they don't do it. I was unable to find any reputable stories of somebody waking up to a skinwalker entering their home. And it's just not the kind of thing that seems to be present in the folklore. Now, part of this might be because the Navajo didn't always live in homes with lockable doors. That's a rather recent thing. They weren't a longhouse people like, for example, the Iroquois. And the Pueblo nations, who do have their own version of the skinwalker, had buildings and carved things out of adobe and all that. But the point I'm making here is that you don't have a ton of evidence in the lore for skinwalkers entering homes. It seems that they prefer to prey on people out in the open. Now, maybe that's something to do with the sacred ritual of how skinwalkers are supposed to operate. We may never know, because in order to get that information, you'd probably have to talk to a skinwalker, and why would they tell you that? Doesn't really make a ton of sense. So, I do hope that this has been informative and educational and given you an idea of what skinwalkers are, what's myth, what's actual folklore, what's internet propaganda, so on and so forth. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel, toss us a like, hit the notification bell, share this with a friend. If you want to support us, you can subscribe to us on Patreon. We've got a lot of really cool perks over there. You get some exclusive content. We also Twitch stream at my channel, which is The A Mattis on Twitch. We have a podcast every Monday night. You should check it out. It's on Spotify. It's on YouTube. And we bring on guests and we talk about the paranormal. We talk about history. We talk about folklore. It's a lot of fun. You should check it out. And we actually do interact with our guests on there as well and our viewers. So I think that just about wraps us up for this evening. I'm Aiden Mattis, and thank you so much for stopping by the Lore Lodge.